Jameson Williams, if you missed it yesterday, wow, burner speed. He flashed what you saw at Alabama.
Yeah.
And before we show you the video, I'll backtrack a little bit. Coming out of college, prior to the national championship game, Jameson Williams was the best wide receiver prospect going into that draft. Better than Drake London, better than Olave, better than Garrett Wilson,
And he did something those guys
better
didn't
than
do.
Jahan Dotson.
He cooked Georgia.
He was the guy.
Yeah.
He was the guy, and unfortunately, he tore his ACL in his last game for Alabama. And that led him on a journey of recovery, going into the draft, uncertainty, and for, I believe, actually 3 wide receivers. Let me think. London, Wilson,
Yeah.
Olave. Yes, 3 were taken before him. And then Dotson and Burks went shortly after him.
Yep.
So Jameson Williams went from being the number 1 wide receiver prospect to being taken 4th among wide receivers in the first round of the NFL draft. And who selected him? A team that was picking at 32 and saw a golden opportunity to get a player, yes, who would likely miss 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 games in his first year while he recovers. But a player who could add a dimension to your offense that we are seeing work very effectively out in Miami.
Oh, yeah.
Speed. It's just speed. Yes, there are creative concepts to run these players open. Yes, you're going to put them in motion and send them underneath, over the top. You're going to run 10, 15-yard dig routes. Once you have secondary players on their heels, it makes those comeback routes, those dig routes, those 10 and ins, 10 and outs so much easier because you're running full speed at them and they are terrified of you beating them. And unless they have safety coverage and safety support, yeah, they're going to be playing 10, 15 yards off of this guy. And that's going to allow for easy completions. And you're seeing it with Jalen Waddle. You're seeing it with Tyreek Hill, especially Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
Burner speed from Jameson Williams. He's been the story for a few weeks now. Once he was activated, eligible to practice, he's been the talk of town, rightfully so.
Right.
I'm very excited to see this kid. Now, will it be against Jacksonville? We'll see. We'll talk to Doc second hour. We'll get his thoughts on his comeback. Campbell came out and said it would take a lot for him to play. So I'm not raising my expectations for this upcoming Sunday against Jacksonville. But, Jeff, in that video, oh my goodness.
He was flying.
Effortless.
Makes me even more curious what his 40 would have been if he was healthy. I think it would have been easily 4.3 speed. I mean, Chris Olave ran pretty much 4.3 something speed. I think it was 4.37 if I'm not mistaken. Jameson, no questions, the fastest wide receiver in the class. And on top of that, what he does to your offense with his speed. Yes, throwing deep with Jared Goff, that's everybody's concern, but it's not always throwing deep, right? If Jared Goff has protection, he showed it in L.A., he can hit deep balls. Now, how consistently is the question? But you can use Jameson in a lot of different ways. Yards after catch, kind of like what Tua does with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, taking slants to the house. You can have an exact route that Cornelius Johnson ran against Ohio State. How Cornelius took that thing to the house, Jameson could easily do that as well. So, again, it's not about throwing the deep ball. It is, partially, but a lot of it's yards after catch. Just get Jameson the ball in space and watch him work. That's really what it comes down to. And think about how much better he's going to make Amon-Ra St. Brown, right? Like, Amon-Ra has been the number 1 wide receiver all year, and he's still putting up these numbers. And Braylon Edwards always says it's much easier to be the number 2 than the number 1, right? You have a guy next to you who's taking all the attention off of you on the outside. So with Jameson, if he is that number 1 wide receiver we all predict him to be, Amon-Ra is going to be even more dangerous because you have a guy who can stretch the field, and it'll open up more things for Amon-Ra. It's going to keep defenses on their toes, man. It really is. And I think Jameson, with this current offense, their ability to run the ball, establish play action, you can have Jameson sneak by. I'm telling you, some big plays are going to happen. And DJ Chark, he was supposed to be that guy until Jameson gets back. But I think Jameson just all around is much better, and he has a way higher upside than DJ Chark. So I'm extremely excited to see him on the field, man. Really.
Look, let's be real. You signed DJ Chark. Why? And wait. Let's backtrack even more than that. How long was the deal, Jeff? How long was the Chark deal? 1 year.
Oh, it was a prove-it year. Go.
It was a 1 year deal.
Yeah.
No risk. You put a little money into a wide receiver coming off an injury that you would like to play 10, 12, 14 games. And if he did that, cool. If not the end of the world, because you're not committed long-term to him, and you're just waiting for your burner first-round wide receiver to come into the fold. Now, if you haven't seen the video, I'll play for you right now. Jameson Williams yesterday in practice, showing off speed, maybe 2 or 3 other guys in the NFL can even display.
Yeah, that's insane. I can't wait to see him on an actual NFL field going against opposing secondaries, because I'm telling you right now, you can't teach speed. You can teach technique, you can teach route running, all of that. And Jameson has great route running, but that speed is unteachable. I mean, that is something that you can't game plan for, similar to what Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle can do. And what was the narrative with Tua? He can't throw deep balls, but they're finding ways to make big plays with Tua. So if Ben Johnson is as smart as we say he is, or think he is, he's going to be able to find different ways to use J-Mo, whether wide receiver screens, quick out routes. You can use him in slants. Just get him the ball, man. That's literally all you have to do.
Let's play it again. I want us to put something into perspective about this. This is a guy that's he's recovering from an ACL injury. No brace. That's the first thing I notice. No brace. He looks very fit.
Looks
his separation speed here is, even St. Brown is pointing in, what is that thing?
Yeah.
What is that?
That's a Ferrari. Yeah, that's a Ferrari.
That's why you drafted him. And look, I understand it's difficult sometimes. I always tell you guys, it's different. There's a huge difference between being patient and complacent. In my opinion, the Jameson Williams draft pick, you always needed to be patient with. Mm-hmm. So I do believe it will work out very well for you. Having said that, when you start the year 1-6, even if I don't agree with it, I do understand a fan base saying, Brad Holmes, what the hell? We could use somebody on defense right now. We could use a Jordan Davis. We could use this guy. We could use that guy. Sure.
Right.
But I do this how many times a week? 4 most important positions in football.
Mm-hmm.
Pass rusher, pass protector, quarterback, wide receiver. He's drafted you a pass rusher. He's drafted you a generational tackle. Hasn't addressed the quarterback yet. He's drafted a wide receiver. One in the 4th round, the other now in the 1st round.
Right.
You are building a team the way it is supposed to be built in today's NFL. Now, does your defense need to be better? Yes, it does. And you have this upcoming offseason, 6 picks in the first 3 rounds to address your defense. And I don't want to hear it's a talent or it's about, they're all young. Look at the Jets. Go look at the Seahawks. Teams are finding ways, even with rookie, second-year guys. You will find a way if your coaching is good enough.
Mm-hmm.
So you have an excellent opportunity this offseason. And what Jameson Williams brings, Jeff, more than anything, is he brings an element of unpredictability. And I don't want to say fear, but I think you know where I'm going with this.
I mean, a little bit.
You have to respect every aspect of this offense. And that just opens up a whole new 20, 30-page chapter on what Ben Johnson and this offense can do. And I'm excited to watch it play out.
Yeah.
I really am. It's going to be great. I think he's going to be fantastic. That type of speed you can't teach. That's the type of speed you've been missing in this offense. Khalif Raymond,
But think about some of the catches Khalif had that he was caught. Right, like in Chicago, he catches, I think it was like a 15-yard slant, and he gets caught. He runs like 25 yards, he gets caught. If that's Jameson, you don't think he gets caught at that point.
Tom Kennedy.
Tom Kennedy's another one. Excuse me. And listen, those guys, they filled in roles, they played solid. But Jameson, there's different expectations. And for people to see Jameson, there's going to be an element of just getting used to not only the NFL, but the playbook. So, again, he's not going to come out his first game and have 100 yards. He very well could. But my expectations aren't to, put the league on notice right away. I mean, it's been a while since he suited up and played football and actually played, had contact. So just temper the expectations for Jameson, but I'm telling you, he's going to hit his stride. He'll be just fine. Next year is a big year for this offense as well with those guys. So he's going to be elite, man. I really do believe that.
Let's address two things really quickly. Number one, I don't need Jared Goff to throw the ball 50, 60 yards downfield on a dime to Jameson Williams. Do you guys not watch how the Miami Dolphins get Tyreek Hill out in space? It is not always the deep ball. It is the intermediate 10, 15-yard, 17-yard, 19-yard route. It is the underneath. It is the bubble screen. There are so many other ways you can hit the home run with that type of speed. Go look at Miami. And if you don't believe me, do me a favor. Once you finish watching the show, go on YouTube. Go watch 2, 3, 4 Miami Dolphins games. And you'll see how to use speed effectively on offense. Kyle Shanahan does a great job of it.
Yep.
His disciple Mike McDaniel is doing a great job of it out in Miami. You want to use speed, it doesn't need to be vertical only. The days of the Randy Moss, the days of Calvin Johnson, where these guys are only able to run 40, 50, 60 yards downfield, and that's how you throw the deep ball. No. Even Calvin was one of the best route runners I had seen in my life.
Mm-hmm.
He could run the slant. He could run the underneath throw. He could run a 10 dig. He could run 15 and out, 15 in. He was exceptional. So, look, this type of wide receiver, I'm not saying he's going to be Tyreek Hill. But what I'm telling you is you can learn a lot by watching the Miami offense and how they use him. Because, again, he's the focal point every Sunday for teams that play in Miami.
Absolutely.
How do we get him open? Do we put him in motion? Do we run him out of the backfield? Do we run bubble screens? Do we send a go route early on and get defenses on their heels and then start hitting them with comeback and dig routes? There's a lot of things that you can do and you can learn from Miami. So I'm excited to see how Jameson Williams plays out.
And you saw the play earlier that they've used multiple times, that little end around to Amon-Ra St. Brown. Think about if it was Jameson Williams. Like, you've been using Amon-Ra as your best wide receiver, and he's actually gotten faster than when he was first drafted, but you can use Jameson in those situations too. So plenty of ways to get J-Mo involved. That's Ben Johnson's job. So that'll be another evaluation of that.